Hurt, a song originally recorded by Nine Inch Nails on their breakthrough album The Downward Spiral, is not only an incredible track, it's a great example of the two halves of a song and the different types of ownership involved. I said originally recorded because multiple artists throughout the years have covered Hurt, both live and in the studio, and Nine Inch Nails themselves have officially released a few of their own live versions. It's crucial for any songwriter or performer to understand the different parts of an original song, the master recording and the composition. The master recording and the composition earn entirely different types of royalties, paid by different sources, and often have different ownership. So back to Hurt, great song. Go ahead and pause this if you haven't heard it before. Check out the studio version from The Downward Spiral first. Like all original songs, there's only one composition for Hurt, but there are a lot of different master recordings out there. Here's the original recording, recorded by Nine Inch Nails on The Downward Spiral, an album that came out in 1994 when CDs were king and I was a disaffected teenager who loved this album. Looking at the composition side, we see that Trent Reznor, who is the sole songwriter, owns the copyright in this composition along with his respective publishers. As the composition owners, these are the only people who have the right to collect the publishing royalties that the song generates. This includes performance royalties, like from broadcast radio play, and mechanical royalties, paid when physical or digital copies of a song are made, in this case, millions of CD copies. Let's check out the master recording side. Since this is a first recorded version of the song, we've called it Master Recording A. Masters are often owned by record labels, but artists sometimes own their own master recordings, or they share ownership with a label. In this case, the record label is Interscope. Nine Inch Nails released a live album several years after The Downward Spiral, and it includes a live version of Hurt, one of their most popular songs. This came out on the album Live, All That Could Have Been, in 2002. The composition is the same. As I mentioned, Trent Reznor and his publishers will always own the copyright and be entitled to the composition share. The master side is where things change, because this live version of the song is a different recording, as in literally recorded at a different time and place on different equipment to a different reel of tape. This is a different master recording from the original album version. In this case, Nine Inch Nails was the performer again, so they and their record label will collect the master recording royalties. Note that this live version could have a different master owner than the original version. Nine Inch Nails could assign to a new label or started releasing their own music directly. The composition owner will not change, but the master owner can. In 2002, Johnny Cash was in a career renaissance thanks to producer Rick Rubin. Cash released a series of albums covering songs by the great songwriters of the era, and he chose to put his own spin on Nine Inch Nails' Hurt for American 4, The Man Comes Around. This song and the entire series are straight up incredible, so go ahead and add them to your library now. In addition to it being a huge honor for Trent Reznor to have his song covered by one of the most legendary singers of all time, he continues to benefit as a songwriter. The composition side here, once again, looks the same. Johnny Cash didn't write the song, so neither he nor his publishers collect on the composition side. That means that all the publishing royalties for this version of the song go to Trent Reznor and his publishers. But Johnny Cash benefits on the master side. This cover is a new master recording, and we've labeled it Master Recording C. This song was released by a different artist on a different record label, so the master ownership and collections are completely different from the Nine Inch Nails versions. Earlier this year, Mumford & Sons covered Hurt during a show in Cleveland. Just as with Johnny Cash's cover version, Trent Reznor and his publishers maintain ownership of the composition side for this recording, whether it's only ever shared on YouTube or if the band and their label decide to release a live album. In this case, we have yet another Master Recording D, performed by a different artist who records for a different record label. The master ownership in this case belongs to Mumford & Sons and their record label, who will collect on any royalties generated by this recording. As you can see, the potential exists for dozens or hundreds of recordings for a single song, all of which earn royalties for a single composition and its writers and publishers. In this case, we have 4 different master recordings, each with potentially different companies and individuals who own them and collect on the master side. But the composition in every case belongs to Trent Reznor and his publishers. And when we get to songs like Yesterday or Hallelujah, some of the most covered songs of all time, these each have hundreds of master recordings, but there's still just one composition in each case. As a songwriter, you benefit when someone broadcasts, downloads, or streams any song you've written, whether you're the performer or it's a cover. As you're getting organized to collect what you're due on the publishing side, there are a few other things I want to make sure you do. First of all, if you're collaborating with other writers on a song, make sure that you are determining the percentage of splits everyone is going to receive as soon as possible to avoid complications down the road regarding ownership. Split sheets are a great way to keep track of this, and you can even download a split sheet template from our website. Take it from me, figure out the splits before you leave the studio or the songwriting room. It will save a lot of headaches in the future. Also, you've got to make sure that you're registering your songs right away and that you include important details such as each writer's IPI, ISRCs, any other relevant metadata, and contact information for the songwriters and their publishers. Any missing pieces in the song registration process can result in delays and interruptions in collections. To learn more about the two halves of a song and what your rights as a songwriter are and how to collect what you've earned, check out the Songtrust blog for more information.